Okay, y'all, I want to give a quick preface to this video because in the video I mentioned that I was missing a couple of bolts to hold on the coils to this engine. It ends up being these two front bolts here that hold the cover on that also double as the bolts for the coil. So I wanted to clear that up. If you hear anything about me missing bolts in the video, don't call the dealer or whatever and get two bolts because they're actually the cover bolts. So I just wanted to make a mention of that, but y'all enjoy the video of replacing the spark plugs here on the Honda Element. That's coming up next. Okay, so if y'all watch my channel, y'all usually know that I am almost exclusively working on mowers in my videos. It's been really quiet the past few months since I was able to sell out all of my customer return push mowers pretty quickly. If you have any interest in that, feel free to follow my channel. This video is going to actually consist, you've probably seen this on the video quite a bit here since I moved into the new house. It's one of two Hondas that I own. I also own a light-duty F-250 truck, but while it's quiet, we've got a nice weekend to do stuff. I'm gonna give this a tune-up and put differential fluid in it. This video is going to be dedicated to giving this a tune-up. It is a 2004 Honda Element. It has been awesome. I've had this thing 4.5 years now. I've had to put a radiator in it and a rear brake caliper. Apart from that, I've driven it over 50-some thousand miles now, and it has somewhere in the neighborhood of 207,000. So, very utilitarian vehicle. This is all-wheel drive. I've gone in about a foot of snow with it before, and even the interior is still in great shape. So, bought it. It was a one-owner Carfax with 156,000 miles when I got it. Done a few upgrades to it with the headlights and whatnot with the newer model headlights, and also some stickers on the side. But let's open the hood. We're going to look under the hood at this 2.4 liter K-Series engine. Like I said, apart from having a full radiator at 200,000 miles, which was the original radiator, and a brake caliper in the back, which is pretty common on these, this thing has been awesome. But I'm going to change the spark plugs now. So we are going to tackle that. First thing you'll need to do is get these 4 bolts off of this cover, and that'll get us access to the spark plugs. They're coil-on plugs. I'll show y'all. I'm going to put in them, I'm going to put some Denso Iridium plugs in it. Got them from your favorite online website, I suppose, just because of the price point, and I was also buying air filters and all that good stuff. Air filters and cabin air filters, just to have them in stock when they're ready to go for my Element as well as my Fit, which a couple videos on the Fit will be coming pretty soon as well. Alright, anti-seize lubricant, for the spark plugs, and I also have dielectric grease to put on the plug wires when I put the plug wires back on. So let me grab my toolkit, find out what size that is. It's probably an 8mm, and we'll get started on this awesomeness. Alright, so these bolts are your classic 10mm. Thought they were 8, but my eyes deceived me. So I'm going to take those 4 off in the rear, and I will finish taking them off and remove the cover, and we'll see what we got down there. Okay, so I have learned that these plugs have at least been changed, because I took the cover off and then there are things missing to not 1 but actually 2 plugs there for the coil on plug adapters. And the good news is, at least in that one, at least the bolts aren't stripped out of them, so that's good. But these are also 10 millimeters, I believe. So just crack them off. Just pull them up. That's kind of discouraging to find that, to be honest with you. I'll find some bolts to sub for it. There's a clip on the side here. Just pull that up and be able to pull the coil out, pull the whole coil itself out right there. So there's the coil. You can replace the coils if you'd like. I'm not going to in this video, but yeah, you just take them out. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason as to which coil goes into which plug. You can sort them out like you would like if you want to. Again, don't think it's a big deal. So I've gotten all 4 of the coils off here. Very easy to do. Just make sure, I've got a little bit of dirt and whatnot down there over there by the coils. Just make sure you don't get any dirt and stuff inside there. Not good to get any dirt and whatnot in the motor. Looking inside of this, if I can get some light for you. Looking inside, it looks very good. It doesn't look like there's any corrosion or anything like that. That's the same case for all 4 of them. That's what you'd like to see. So now I've got to look inside here and see what size the plugs are. Should be a standard spark plug. Yep, it's the those plugs actually look really good, believe it or not. Be your 13, or excuse me, your 5/8 spark plug wrench. Need a rather long extension to get down there. So next is just, you just take this, get it down there, pull the plugs up. Simple as that, really. So I'm going to do that next. So I had a couple that came out with the spark plug socket. The other 2 have gotten stuck in there. I've got a magnet here, just a helpful tip, because you're not able to get your fingers and stuff down there unless you want to cut them all up. So just grab the magnet, pop it down the spark plug hole there, and voila. And just for the record, I want to show y'all what the plugs look like that came out of them. They are NGK plugs, iridium plugs, so they are most likely in tune with what the Honda dealership put in, because I know that this was serviced at the dealer at least. I'll give you all a little bit better light. So you can see they're pretty clean for the most part. Nothing really out of the ordinary. For at least the first half of its life, essentially, first 120-ish thousand miles. Let me give them a gapper tool. We'll figure out. They're supposed to be gapped to 44 thousandths. We'll see what the gap is on them. They look pretty good still. And I don't know if y'all can see that, but all 4 plugs are reading right around 40 to 44 thousandths. So that is right on the money. And these plugs have anywhere between, they have at least 50,000 miles on them, most likely close to 100,000. Because I think they were changed around 116,000 when the actual odometer was changed in this vehicle. So, again, very good. And like I said, NGK and Denso, I believe, are pretty good brands to put in Hondas. Coming from a background where I had a GM vehicle as one of my first cars, I don't really care for Bosch very much, although I've seen them work okay. So we're going to see how these Densos work out. Again, we'll get the plugs out. I'll show you what they look like compared to the NGKs. They're both iridium plugs, so honestly the NGKs look slightly better. just kind of down here at the bottom portion. But you know what? It's I think we're gonna be just fine with these Densos here. They were about $1 cheaper a plug, and they were in stock, so got them. Let me grab some anti-seize. I'll put some anti-seize on these. Just, you know, lightly put it on your finger. And rub it around each plug before you put it in. And that way, whenever you change spark plugs, since you're probably getting another spark plug change around 300,000 if it's still got it, you're not going to have much worries about getting plugs out. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll feed the plugs in, put it all back together. So there's some anti-seize on them. Don't have to put a ton of it on there because the threads will help spread it out when you put it down into the spark plug hole. The next step, and I'm going to go ahead and do all this together here. All right there. Got a thread. Pop the plug in to your socket. Do your best not to hit the sides of the engine as you're sending it down in there. And also make sure, big deal here, make sure you do not cross thread the plugs. So you want to hand tighten them in as far as they will go, which is about that far. You can take your ratchet once they get in that far and just kind of snug them in there. I'm going to look down there and check to make sure that it's not cross-threaded or anything like that. Looks good. Last thing you want to do is break off a plug in the block. So now, and I also want to add these plugs come pre-gapped to 40, supposed to be pre-gapped 40 thousandths, 44 thousandths. I think these are around 44 thousandths. Isn't going to make that much of a difference. In these Hondas, they'll run forever. Probably on plugs that are gapped at 80 thousandths, truthfully. But again, properly gap the plugs. They come pre-gapped, so you can just check them with one of these spark plug gapper tools. And grab the torque wrench. They're going to torque to 13 foot-pounds. These plugs are. So I'm going to grab that real quick and make sure they're torqued correctly. I'll show that on video next. Using the 3/8 smaller torque wrench that I've got, torque to, I don't know if y'all can see, 13 foot-pounds. Which is really not that much. I probably have already torqued them far beyond that. Not far beyond that, but probably in the neighborhood of, like, I don't know. Well, I've still turning here. So there you go. 13 foot-pounds right there. Double check it. And they're in there. So I'm going to repeat that process for the other 3 plugs. Catch back up with y'all whenever I put the coils back on and find a couple of bolts for the ones that are actually missing them. Alright, next I'm going to take this dielectric grease here and we're going to place some of it on the inside of the coil here. So just coat it on the top there. Dielectric grease is a conductor, so it will also prevent corrosion and all that good stuff. And then just reference your coil to where the bolt feeds through. As you can see, that's the way it feeds through right there. So we're going to push it down in there. I'm starting from the left because it'll be easier to plug them in. There you go. Just like so. And I've got to actually order a couple of these bolts from Honda. I don't really want to play around with just getting like secondhand bolts or whatever. So I'm going to put these on. Again, just a 10mm. Thread them in like so. Again, don't over tighten them, just get them snug. There's your first one. And you just repeat the process with the other three. And we'll put our cover back on here, and we should be good to go. I've got to wait until the morning to go get the other bolt. And then we will be in business. I might try and at least, I don't know if the cover will actually prevent it from popping up. It might. I'm going to wait until tomorrow until I get the other bolts in order to finish this up, just so it's done properly for the purposes of this video and the purposes of not, firing it up and having ungodly misses or anything like that. So let me at least put the coils back in, button everything up I can, and finish this tomorrow. Okay, so I need to make a correction as to the video here, and I actually have everything. I did not realize that these cover bolts actually double as the mounting bolts for the second and the fourth coil. Oops. So like I said, you learn something new every day with making videos and doing stuff. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever done spark plug change on this vehicle. So I have all the bolts. I'm just a dummy. So I'm going to put the cover back on now. I already had it run, and it actually runs great, so at least I know that I've done that right. Spark plugs aren't that hard. At least on a Honda. If you want to get like a, I don't know, a foreign make or something like that, where the spark plugs are hiding behind 100 covers, and you gotta, I'm exaggerating here, but hiding under 100 covers, and you have to take out the dash to change them and all that good stuff. Again, exaggerations. These, on the contrary, easy to get to. And again, it's kind of one of the reasons why I like Hondas. They're very simple, for the most part, easy to work on, especially the 4-cylinders. And they're about bulletproof. I know these 2.4s are pretty, you kind of need to adjust the valves on them around every 100,000 miles. I don't know if I want to tackle that myself or not, but I do want to at least get it done, because I think it's getting close to 100,000 on this, since I've got about 207 on it. So again, just make sure these are snug. Don't over tighten them. I ain't gonna have any issues or anything like that with them. Didn't even cross my mind that that potentially doubled as a coil bolt because they were sitting down there so pretty. I thought that they just kind of hung out for the last change and that somebody just lost some bolts or something like that. But that was not the case. So cover's on. Let me go crank it up for us. This motor's always run really good. I had noticed that in the past year or so that as it was warming up, sitting at a lighted idle, it would periodically just have one miss here and there. But I mean, it's a motor; it's going to miss every once in a while as it is. Again, I love this thing right here. I'm a part of an element group and all that good stuff. The new headlights, I put the 07, 08 headlights on it, because my 04 headlights were really foggy. Gives it a really good look on it. Love these vehicles. I've stuck that 3.5 foot tall by 8 foot long sign in the back of this thing. Brought it home from a Sears closing store sale. Highly recommend the Element if you can get your hands on one. Mine's actually a 5-speed, which is pretty desirable now. They were actually pretty plentiful whenever I was looking for one about 4 years ago. So again, spark plug change, differential fluid. It's going to be coming next on it. You're supposed to change those every 35,000. I've never changed it. Going to have that coming up here in a coming up video. Hopefully y'all have enjoyed this kind of change in pace from what I do with mowers, working on cars. I don't do a lot of work on cars. I know enough to do some things like the radiator replacement and stuff, but hopefully y'all found this video informative. Hopefully I've helped some of y'all out, and most importantly saved y'all on some labor costs of something simple with basic tools that anybody can do. Just remember, anti-seize, dielectric grease, so that you can get that stuff off whenever you want to change the plugs again. Thank y'all for watching. Stay tuned for next one. I'm going to try and keep some content going until I get the new mowers in. We'll catch you on the next one.